want to make sure that it was.
Now it
There
is.
you go.
Okay.
Now it is. Now it
Okay.
Now it
is.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is.
There was a button that says you have to put it to this computer, so I got it.
Yeah, there
This
you
is
go.
my first live Zoom too, by the way, everybody. So be patient.
Yay.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're doing awesome.
Yeah, you got the newbie on the other end here. And joining us right now is Sandra Richardson. And as I was saying, I would like to just uh, share a little bit about Havilah and her career and her journey here. Havilah Malone is an inspirational thought leader on a mission to be a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. That's huge. The multi talented millennial powerhouse has been featured on Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and more. The actress, motivational speaker, and former Miss Louisiana Universal currently resides in Los Angeles, California. Havilah is also the #1 best-selling author of How to Become a Publicity Magnet in Any Market via TV, radio, and print. And she's the co-author of the Think and Grow Rich children's classic, The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill, based on Napoleon Hill's success principles. Havilah shares her pillars of success with an audience around the world. She has also been featured in numerous films, national TV commercials, HBO's Insecure, and guest starred on NCIS New Orleans. Miss Malone is a recipient of the President's Volunteer Service Award Gold Medal, the Women's Prosperity Network She Rocks Award, and selected as the SBA Innovate Her Challenge winner. Ms. Malone also holds several professional accreditations, including being a certified instructor for the Napoleon Hill Foundation and Master Certified Practitioner of NLP Neuro Linguistic Programming. Havilah's nurturing spirit, inspirational voice, and magnetizing personality inspire people to be her hashtag, to be the proof of what's possible. And so, without further ado, and before we move forward, I just want to introduce to you Havilah Malone and present to others Havilah Malone. And just so I can just kind of just briefly say how we're going to have this discussion, um, I'm going to ask her a series of questions about her journey. So if you have any questions, you feel free to post them in the chat so that way she can personally answer them for you. And at the end, we are going to have a raffle, which you will be able to win one of her 3 best-selling books. And you can choose the book that you would prefer to have, and I will make sure that it gets to you, and it'll be a signed autograph copy. So I just hope that you will just find total fulfillment and in the life-changing experience in this dialogue and collective conversation. So, Havilah,
Yay.
I welcome you,
Thank you so
and
much, Ray.
and I'm gonna let a couple more people in while you speak.
Certainly. First of all, thank you so much for having the vision of bringing this together and setting everything up. It's been amazing working with you on getting this together. And thank you, each and every one of you who has decided to come and join us today. Because there's something that called you here. There's something that drew you to the content of the book to be able to help you on the journey that you're on. And we know that when we share our stories, when we're open and vulnerable and we allow ourselves to be seen and heard, we get something from that for our own individual journey, and it helps others as well. So this is all about how do we continue to grow individually as a collective? How do we step fully into our power? How do we do the things that we feel called to but may feel afraid to be able to do? And also opening ourselves up to what's out there, because a lot of times it's a lot bigger and a lot more than what we see in our little keyhole of consciousness. So I'm really excited to be here tonight, to be able to have this open discussion with you all, and to be able to, continue to grow together.
Yes,
I say.
yes. And you know what?
Yeah.
And before we go any further, I just want to ask if everyone can mute themselves, because if I mute everybody, I'll have a problem when Havilah's talking or somebody else is trying to talk. Thank you. Thank you.
And you know what? I think it's something that like super appropriate to be able to share as we go into this discussion and before we even get into the questions, because, and for all of you who've had an opportunity to read the book itself, then this is a piece that from the book you were able to ingest, but I feel like it's very valid for the conversation we're going to have tonight. And it's actually in the preface, and it shares, it says, greetings, dear reader, or attendees this evening, because it's appropriate for you all. There are no coincidences in life. The fact that you're reading or hearing these words right now is by divine design. The strings that connect all things may be invisible to the naked eye, but they are very real and lead us along our path to the people, information, and resources that are specifically designed to assist us throughout our journey. So often we fear the unknown and branching off into uncharted territory. Yet we were born to be explorers, to venture out in pursuit of our own path and create it along the way. We were born to shine. Who better to realize your potential, reclaim your power, and reinvent yourself than you? We're creators well equipped for the task ahead. These are messages and signs, and there are messages and signs all around us that we're in a time of significant change and transformation. And if you're ready to peer beyond the veil in order to transcend your current circumstances and gain vital insight into the human condition, you've come to the right place. You're being called to action, and the universe has lovingly crafted a message specifically tailored for you. May you receive it with an open heart, an open mind, an open third eye.
I love that part. Open. Wow. Well, I just want to say, like, I feel like I as I read the book, I took the journey with you, and I could relate to it on so many levels. You know, particularly about just the I want to say the template that's put before us, as far as you go to school, you pick this career, and this is how life is supposed to be, and anything that's not really crafted in what's been like said to be the way to go isn't the way to go. And through your journey, and you did all of that. And so I just want to say, I was just amazed at how you excelled at an early age, in high school, and you were still like a teenager almost when you graduated from college. So I just wanted to talk about, like, you seem like you were always an exceller, and so we're just talk a little bit about your how you stayed so focused and able to excel the normality of what the general person does. Even at such a young age, like there was something in you, I feel, that drove that.
I think I've always had a desire to, like, I've had dreams, I had goals, there's things that I've wanted to accomplish. And my mom used to tell me, like, from a very young age, like as a kid, she would say like there's a wall outlet, and I'm like over there playing with a wall outlet, and she'd rush over there and like grab me, and it's like, no, like get away from that. And then, but if I locked in on it, then like there was nothing that could stop me from like doing what it was that I wanted to do. And so she was like, you had this tenacity about you. So you would just like bide your time and wait till I would walk away. And then you would go right back in and go after that thing. And I would have to come back and like try to redirect you. And so I think there was something, even within me from youth that had that very kind of like go-getter spirit. And then of course, as life goes on, sometimes we start to lose connection with that as we are told no, or told, or have a series of what you may consider failures in life. So I think from as far as like school was concerned, because I graduated high school at 16 and I graduated college at 19. And I was just so determined to like get out into the world and start like living my real life, because I didn't feel like that was my real life. I felt like that was the life that I had to, like, you have to go to school, like you have to like do these things, like this is the roadmap that was given to me. So I felt like, okay, as soon as I get all this stuff done, then I can go like live my real dreams. So I try to find ways to accelerate my school path so I can get out faster to go start living my real life.
Wow, I was gonna say, and it's so funny too, because like, and then even at a young age, you were managing a multi-million-dollar, company, and it was like, then you, but like even said in your book, you were saying that was a great life too. And I know for many of us, finally in that place where you think you're thriving and you're doing more than just surviving. But I found it interesting, as you were saying, even in all of that, you still weren't totally fulfilled, because you would wake up, you'd be like, oh boy, it's like, I got to go back to this place again. And, I know how to put the smile on and do what we do. And the fact that you were aware that this wasn't it. And like in your book, you talk about the layoff was actually, I feel like a divine intervention that says, okay, enough of that for her. So once that happened, can you just talk a little bit about your journey from that point once the layoff happened, and then you kind of moved on into started steering in a whole different direction?
Certainly. At age 21, I was running a $160 million technology sales business. And I was also a spokesperson on like the Home Shopping Network and QVC and doing all these amazing things. And so my tenure there with that company was it was like close to a decade. So like nearly 10 years. And in the beginning, it was exciting. It was fun. I was learning new things. I was applying, new learnings, like expanding. And it got to a certain point of me working there that it was just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of over this. Like, and I think that our paths have many different roads that we go down and that we should be going down for our own expansion. And sometimes we can stay on a road a little bit longer than our intuition and our calling is to be on that road. But because this was a really good job and like it was a family approved and it was, society approved and all of the things that you look at in the American dream of like, okay, this is what you should have and this is what you should be doing, then it was like, well, even though I feel like it's time to move on, it's time to do something else, it's time for me to figure out what my next path is, how could you leave out of this comfort zone? How could you leave out of something that is, working for you, quote unquote? So the longer that I stayed there beyond that call of it's time to go, it's time to branch out, then I started becoming like depressed and more like that energy and that life force was just like literally being drained out of me, where I was having to pull myself out of bed. And I'm sure there's many of you who can, relate to feeling like, hey, something could have been good for you in a season, but that doesn't mean it's good for you every season. And so it was really a blessing in disguise. I think a lot of times things that are challenges, adversities, defeats, layoffs, situations that people would consider to be bad were actually blessings in disguise. Because if I hadn't have been, gone through that layoff, then I probably would have still been in that job and still doing those same things. And I like, we wouldn't be on this call today. Like none of the books that I have written or the things that I have done may have ended up manifesting if I did not move on to the next phase of my journey. And I think that this a really valuable message for all of us is that really getting in tune with what you're being called to. And even when it seems crazy and weird to everybody around you, you have an internal guidance. You have a voice inside of you that is leading you on your path, not somebody else's path. So I'm super grateful. Of course, in the moment that it happened, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we all got laid off.
Feels like, I understand. It's like, oh no, but wait, you know.
But then it's like you get an opportunity to like start to, okay, when you're put up against a wall, sometimes you gotta then figure stuff out. You gotta like figure out a new path. And because we're such dynamic beings, we're creators, guess what? There's plenty of paths out there for us. Like we just get so tunnel vision sometimes that we forget who and what we really are and the access to resources that we have that will truly align with what we really want in life and that we can have it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it is so true. And I feel like just getting rid of the fear of actually taking that path, even if it's for a season, just to, you know, to see what's there is so equally important. And I'll tell you, like after reading your book, I just feel like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I just feel like it kind of gave me the fuel and comfort in knowing that everything familiar to us can be taken away. But like you said, it's a divine, kind of like a divine intervention to kind of stir you in a different direction because that season is up. So yes, I just wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about that. And I just have also wanted to ask you about, you said that you were mentored under Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
and you said that you walked the fight.
On to that next question, there's something that's actually relevant to what we're talking about in this moment. That question just came through from Dina. And so I want to go ahead and answer this while we're still talking about that. And you said, hi, Havilah, I have a question for you. In the world we live in, we're conditioned to believe that earning a degree and securing a high paying job is success, right? And I love your sincerity and vulnerability that you were able to be honest with yourself and that you were still not happy despite how accomplished you were. My question is, what made you know without a doubt, despite people thinking you were going against the grain, what made you believe in yourself enough to try and to explore different things to find your true happiness? That's a really great question. I think what made me know, was the circumstances that ended up unfolding of you don't have this anymore. So this is a clear sign that it is time. Like you've been having this feeling for years now. Like I've been having that internal, that voice saying, it's time to move on. It's time for you to explore other things. Remember these dreams that you had, remember these things that you wanted to pursue, but it was just like, I can't do that. Like, no, like I can't leave this. Like, how would I juggle both if I was trying to? So I think the universe, God, whatever you want to call that force, stepping in and actually taking me out of that situation was my saving grace, was my what was necessary. Because God was like, look, girl, I have tried to come to you in so many different ways and give you this message, and you will not listen. Like you will not like do what it is that I'm telling you to do. So you know what? I got you. Let me just pull you out and set you down a new path so that you can figure it out and can take these signs, omens, these, the direction that I'm giving you and start to carve out a new path for yourself. So I think that helped me to get a clear without a shadow of a doubt that it was time to move on. Interestingly enough, the company offered me a different position, and it was an opportunity to move out to Palo Alto, California. So I was in New Orleans at the time, and I managed a 4-state territory. And then they gave me an opportunity to move into a different position in California. But it was just like, I know this, and I've been doing this. This doesn't feel good for me anymore. So either I can go back down that path of comfort, even though you can be comfortable in your discomfort. I can go back down that path, or I can say, you know what? Here's my opportunity to figure out my real next step and go take that. So I think the circumstances of the universe like stepping in and pushing me forward was the piece that was necessary for me. Like some people have much more courage to be able to actually take the step that they need to, which I have been able to step into that place now where I can make decisions and be like, okay, I hear you. Cool, I'm gonna do that. Okay, cool, it's time for me to stop doing that. All right, no problem. But at that time, I didn't have the courage, confidence, or tools to do it. So God did it for me.
Yes, 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 yes. It's so true. And I think we all get pushed in the pool at some point, and then you either decide to swim or just kind of like sit back. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I totally feel you, and I hear you. And that was kind of segueing into your mentorship under Tony Robbins and Walking the Fire. I mean, just to be mentored by him is just so energetic and like full of all these different things. Like, how can you not be better? I would say that. But the fact that you said that you walked the fire, I just want to know, like, once you went through that process, it's like a rites of passage. And like, what transformed inside of you and what was happening with you when you were going through that? And then once you went through that, like, where was your life at that time leading to the next step in your journey?
Absolutely. Great question. And I want to back it up a little bit because I think the road to getting to the Tony Robbins event
Okay.
is quite significant. So, and matter of fact, there's a young lady that's on this call tonight who is very much connected to this story. And so when I was in that layoff period and trying to figure out, okay, so what's next? And I kept getting offers for other like district manager positions and things like that. I was just like, no, like that ain't it. Like that ain't it. I don't know what it is, but that ain't it. So I had a friend of mine who called and he was like, oh, just he would every like 3 months, 6 months, I would hear from him and he was like, hey, what's going on? Da-da-da. I was like, just got laid off, from and he was just like, oh wow, I'm gonna keep you in my prayers, da-da-da-da. And like 2 days later, I get a call from another gentleman and he says, Havilah, like, I just heard that you got laid off. I want to be able to offer you an opportunity. And the opportunity is at a funeral home.
Wow. Wow.
I go from being like a Miss HP on TV and like managing this like company to working at a funeral. I was like, no thank you. I was like, I appreciate you. It's all good. No thank you. And he persisted. Like he was like, look, just come and talk to us. Like just come and have a conversation with us. It's all I'm asking. Mm-hmm. And something inside of me, like my ego was saying, hey, hell to the no. But there was something inside of me that was just like, you know what? Just go have a conversation. And so I show up at this funeral home, and the position that they were offering me was like a community outreach person, to share about, funeral planning and stuff like that. And in that meeting, I met the executive director of the funeral home, which happened to be Miss Sandra Richardson. And I ended up accepting the position. I was there for 2 months. But what I realized was I was there to meet her. It wasn't about the position. And it was like, you were willing to open yourself up to something that was like not even conceptually possible for you to go down this path. But it led me to, we talked about it, to the people, resources, information you need for the next step of your journey. Mm-hmm. When I met her, it was like looking in a mirror, like the level of conversation we were able to have, the type of things that we were able to connect on, including our desire for personal development. And I remember one night we were sitting down having a dinner. I think we were at PF Chang's, mm-hmm. and having a family style dinner thing. And we were like, hey, let's do a personal development event. And so she had suggested David Wolf, like, and that's all about like healthy eating. And I was just like, you know what? I've been following Tony Robbins and I've always wanted to go and do one of his events. What about Tony Robbins? And she was like, okay, sure. Like, let's figure out what's the place. So we literally booked the event and went to Florida. And that event set me on a trajectory that literally changed my life. I was introduced to new concepts, new ways of being, new like spiritual understandings and paths that were completely outside of anything I had ever known or been taught from my background in my life. And a part of it was scary as hell because I'm like, this is all the stuff that like my family and friends say is from the devil.
Right.
But yet there's something inside of me that is being called to this, that feels aligned with this, that feels so energized by this. And you just walk on fire, like literally walk on burning coals. This is where you should be. This is the community that you need to connect with, because we have to connect with winners. We have to connect with people who are on the same frequency, mindset wise,
Yes.
that we need for our elevation. Because if you're connecting with lower frequency or lower mindset, even individuals, that's where you're going to stay. That's where your set point is going to be. So this thrust me into a world of people who like thought way further, way bigger, way higher than I was doing at the time. And it was necessary because it was time for me to expand.
And continue, you know, on that path. And I was going to say, and then with that, let me just ask, or maybe I'm not correct, but at that time, is that where you met Julian, the person that kind of like linked you into your ayahuasca journey?
Say that one more time.
I said when you did the event, the Tony Robbins event, is that where you met the gentleman Julian, who was that you met and made that connection, and he was telling you about?
No,
I met him
I met him at a speaking event. So I'm also a professional speaker, and we were there. I was one of the featured speakers in these like TED style talks at this event. It was called Festigals in New Orleans. And we were in a hotel downtown, and he was one of the vendors. I think he worked for a company, the knives, Cutco. Yeah, so he was one of the people demonstrating like products and selling products there. And he happened to come into the ballroom when I was giving my presentation. And after it was over, he came and he was just like, I wish my wife was here, you know, like, I want to get your books, let's connect. He started sharing with me about his journey. And then like, because all the people were coming up to get like their books signed, we didn't get opportunity to continue on. So he's like, hey, I'll take a card, I'm gonna contact you. And then he did not contact me. So it was like a year later and I get a call from him, and what I thought we were connecting on, because we set up a lunch meeting, what I thought we were connecting on was him like bringing me in to do some presentations for their company, or to introduce me for other speaking engagements. And it was just like the universe was like, this person has a piece of information that you need. You're now ready to receive that information. I'm going to bring the two of you together. You think it's for this reason, however, it's for something so much deeper. And so as we're sitting there at lunch, having this conversation about work-related stuff, and our conversation shifted, we started talking about spiritual things and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's when he shared with me about, he was about to go on an ayahuasca a ceremony, go on a trip, and I was just like, wait, what? So this was actually many years later. So Tony Robbins, I started with that organization and did my like platinum partnership in like 2012, and Julian and I connected in like 2018.
Okay.
So our journeys, sometimes it could take a while to get to where we're supposed to go, but just know that you'll get there.
Yes, absolutely. And not giving up, because it doesn't all unfold overnight. And I can say that I know just from conversing with a lot of people, it's like you get worn out where you don't even want to continue at times. Just forget it. But by you saying that, it's really a process. I feel like to get to that magnitude of reaching high points, in your journey and what you came here to do. And so I'll just ask this question. This is coming to me right now. Like when you wrote this book, Rewriting a New History, and I'm assuming just from reading the book, it was kind of a result from the experience you had, the ayahuasca experience, right? And it kind of like divinely guided you and gave you the imprint, of what was to come. And so that's why when you said that, I thought about Julian, um, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about Julia, Sal, and the woman, the shaman that led the ceremony. And I thought it was very interesting that you put an emphasis that you thought it was going to be a man, because in our culture, it always seems like it's a man that's doing all of these different things, but it was a woman that actually took you through the ceremony. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about Julian, and then and Sal's here. So I just feel like I just want to kind of integrate like how he became a part of your journey through this. And if you still are connected with the shaman that actually led your ceremony today, and are you going to do this ceremony again?
Okay, so what was the first question?
The question is just to talk a little bit about your connection with Julian, and then how you met Sal, because Sal's here now, and then just kind of like the shaman that you didn't mention. I don't remember her name. I don't remember seeing her name in there. Like, are you still in communion, with them now, and maybe doing some of this work, kind of like, going forward? Like, where's your journey now, like that you've gone through that experience?
Okay, awesome. So Julian, so after we had that lunch meeting and he started going more in depth about what he was about to go and experience, I got very curious. I got very interested, because probably like a year prior to that, I had been introduced to like ayahuasca, or like learned about it through a community group that like comes together to have conversations. However, the person who was sharing the information, when I looked at their life and I looked at like things that were unfolding for them, I was like, I don't want that. So it was just kind of like, it didn't feel aligned. Like I was very interested in ayahuasca, but I'm like, but if this is what you do and this is the result you're getting, then I'm not really feeling that. So I think we get it says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes.
And when, teacher is ready, student will appear. So sometimes we can be introduced to things and it's to plant a seed for something that is to come later on. That may not be the time for you to take advantage or to execute something, but it just could be planting a seed. So by the time I met Julian, and then he was sharing with me about going on this, going and participating in the ceremony, I was like, I'm looking at your life. I'm looking at, the circumstances around this. This feels more aligned to me. Like this is something I could get on board with, but I'm still not ready to say yes. I want to see how it works out for you first. And then, so it was like a few weeks or a couple, I don't know how long it was, like a month or something like that, but he went to his ceremony and we set up a follow-up meeting to be able to, because I was like, I want to know everything. Like, you tell me the minute you walked in that door, like what happened? Because I was just so fascinated and curious, and like this desire, this hunger for information was there for me. And so he laid it all out, and he held no punches. He didn't hold back anything, because there was a lot of wonderful experiences and some very uncomfortable experiences that happened for him on his journey. But it gave me this like sense of, okay, you're ready. Like, this is something I feel called to. This is something I feel drawn to, and it's time for you to like take another step. So I asked him to introduce me to the coordinator of these ceremonies, which was Rhonda. And I got on the phone with her, and the warmth, the willingness to share, it was just like we connected. And I know we all have the ability to feel, to read, to interpret energy, because we are energy. So when something feels right for you, and not from an ego standpoint or from a like, oh, this is what the world says I should do, but from an intuitive, from that solar plexus, from that gut feeling, this feels aligned for me. We need to listen to that.
Yes.
And when it tells us this doesn't feel aligned for me, we need to listen to that too and just trust that things will unfold when they're supposed to, how they're supposed to. Our job is not the how, our job is the what. What do we want? And I had been searching for, yearning for growth. I had been searching for and yearning for a way to continue to expand because I felt like I was still like stuck inside of this like a ball of myself. And even though I had grown, it was still, there was more for me to explore and more ways for me to expand. So now fast forward, I sign up, I'm going to the ceremony, like I'm doing this. I am researching my behind off because I'm like, let me make sure I don't kill myself. and when I get there, and a matter of fact, we had like Zoom calls prior to like just to get everybody familiar with everyone who's going to be participating in the ceremonies, and so that we knew each other even going into the sacred space. And Sal, who is actually on our call tonight, which I'm so excited, is one of the event facilitators. And his spirit, even when you hear him speak, his spirit is so pure and deep, and you know that he has like been put onto this planet to be able to help people and to guide people through these indigenous plant medicines, through these different tools that are available, and there are many tools available. I do want to make this point very, very, very clear to anyone who is here today, who is listening to this. There are many paths to healing. There is not one. There's, matter of fact, this ancient Hawaiian saying, it says, all knowledge is not held within one school. There are so many different ways to go about our own personal growth, enlightenment, deeper connection with self, with spirit. These are of but one tool that it's available. So it's not saying that this is what you need to do or how you need to go about it. What I'm saying is you need to be open to what is for you and go about doing that.
Yes.
So I just want to make that very clear up front.
Yeah, you say that in the very beginning of the book. There are many paths to healing, and I think sometimes people get lost when it doesn't sound like something they would want to do or would be interested in, or is against what maybe their religious orientation might be. And I love how you really, to me, you keep bringing that back, and as you share your story about following your heart and not so much what we've been taught. And I just feel like in the next question that just kind of comes to me, like doing something completely different. How, I mean, completely different, completely from the orientation of what you learned. And I think the key thing that you said was like the Rhonda being really kind, Sal, which is true, because I met Sal, I know Sal personally, he's done a couple of ceremonies with Ray. And if I'm ever going to do any type of indigenous plant ceremony, it's going to be with Sal. It wouldn't be with any other person on this planet. So I also know that feeling that safety is the key. But how, like, that's why I was saying, would you do this ceremony again just because, or to gain more insight? Like, do you plan to do another ceremony? So, or you're good with this, and then maybe you're going to venture off into something else?
Great question. And so upon completion of my ceremony, and for those of you who may or may not be familiar with, so ayahuasca is, and I can definitely get Sal to speak way more to this than my level of expertise, but it is 2 indigenous plants from the Amazon rainforest that are brought together, like brewed together into a drinkable form that allows you to get beyond the conscious mind and to connect with spirit, and to connect with spirit on a very deep level. And it, and the plant medicine or ayahuasca is also called grandmother. And she literally like gives you the message you need. And everybody's journey is different. Everybody's experience is different. Even if, you know, as even as much as I outlined what happened, you know, in my ceremony and what happened for me, your experience may be completely different based off of what you need for your journey and the messages you need and the lessons that need to be learned for you, which is something that's really beautiful because even though we're all connected, we do have an individual experience with plant medicine. So I really feel like what my intention of going, and I set very clear intentions going into it, and what I got out of it was exactly what I needed for that part and stage of my life. So at this time, I don't feel called to go and do another plant medicine ceremony. That doesn't mean that later on I won't feel called to do that. But I feel like I got what it was that I needed from that experience. And matter of fact, I just recently, I went and completed a MITT training, which was a master's in transformational training. And I had been introduced to that like 2 years ago. And it was like, that's interesting. That's something I would do, but I didn't feel called to it at the time. But just recently, matter of fact, in the last week, it was like, it's time. It's time for you to go and do that so that you gain more tools and that you continue to expand. And so I went and did it. So I think us being able to be in tune with ourselves of what we need in the season that we're in is really important so that you follow that and not just like, oh, well, that's what everybody's doing. Let me go jump on that, you know, train or on that, you know, bandwagon. No, you do what you feel called to for your journey.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. And I see there's a question here from Sharon in the chat here. And it says, it seems as though you are intensely self-aware and also have worked very hard to achieve so much at such a young age. It says, are you now where you would have expected, or are you constantly surprised at yourself and your achievements? So thank you for inviting me to join tonight. And I'm very glad we met for a different and bigger reason than I would have expected. I learn from you every time. Every time I hear you talk and read something you've written. If you could go back in time, what advice would you offer your younger self?
Thank you so much for that. That's such a great question. So very self-aware. I have become more self-aware as I continue to learn more, implement what I learned, and like allow myself to shift and change. I don't think I was always as self-aware because I used to be very much I was the person that pointed the finger. And you know the saying about when you point the finger, it's three pointing back at you. So I would blame other people or circumstances for things not being the way that I wanted them to be because I was not aware that I was a creator. Like I am a co-creator with God, with universal intelligence, whatever you want to call that power force. And it is upon me and my responsibility, like the circumstances of my life and the way things unfold. I was not aware of that. Like I thought that no, we are just victims to circumstances and we just have to find ways to survive in the world and accomplish and become approved by others and fit into the box that society has created for us. I didn't realize that that was a box that we agreed to, and we can always change our agreement and get out of the box. So I think it's been because of the things that I've continued to feed myself over the years, from Napoleon Hill's Thinking Grow Rich to Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, to The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Cleason, to the Science of Getting Rich by Wallace S. Wattles, or, you know, like all of these things that continue to help me to expand my way of thinking and realize that I am so much more. We are so much more than we've been taught that we are. And so once I started taking more personal responsibility for my life, then it was just like, okay, this is me. Like, I'm the one who is making these things, happen or not happen, or because of what I keep focusing on. So we talk about law of attraction, what I keep focusing on and that the internal dialogue that I have in my head is creating the circumstances of my life. So if I keep on speaking poorly of myself or thinking badly of myself and of everybody around me, guess what? I'm going to keep seeing more and more of that. But if I start to speak life and speak power and speak truth, then that's what's going to show up in my life. And I think that's a valuable lesson for us all, that we are so much more powerful than we are taught or even give ourselves credit for. So I think that's what's helped me with the self-awareness, is that it's not you doing something to me. I attracted you into my life. I drew you into my life for a lesson I need to learn, because you're a mirror of me on some level. So that's what I have to work on, is my stuff. It ain't even about you. and likewise, it ain't about me. It's about you in your world and in your story. And I think owning that helps us to step into that place of power. And do I get surprised by the, I want to say sometimes I get surprised by like how things unfold, because like I'm very clear about the things that I want in life. And matter of fact, by the time we end out, I'll switch the camera around, and on my wall, like my whole life vision is like literally on my wall. So I'm very clear about the things that I want, but sometimes how it unfolds, because that's not my job. Like that is like the other part of the equation. That's the universe and God. Like it's their job to do the how. Mine is the what. So sometimes how things unfold, I'm just like, oh my God, I could have never even thought about that. Like I could have never even put like those things together and then let that be the outcome. So I'll get blown away sometimes by how it unfolds. And I'm just like, this is so freaking cool. And I get tickled, I get humbled, I get like super grateful. Like today, I'll give you an example. So months ago, like, I don't even know how long ago, like months ago, I had posted on Instagram a photo of me holding Sharon Lecter's version of Think and Grow Rich, or the Think and Grow Rich for Women, because like I study Think and Grow Rich like it's a Bible. And I had tagged her in it. And I think she had like, commented, like something on the photo like months ago. Today, she puts up a post and she tags me in it, and she reposted my photo. I was like, what? I was so stuff like that, like accomplishments. I don't know, like I get geeked out about people still, So like that was huge to have that, somebody who I admire, who I studied their work or whatever, and for them to like repost my face on their, page was like amazing to me. And so I hope that answers your question. And there was another part to your question. Oh, what advice would I give to my younger self? Girl, okay. The advice I would give to my younger self is, you got this. You are more powerful than you realize. You are a lot smarter than you think. And everything in this universe is conspiring to give you what you want. So be very careful about what you continue to feed your mind and think about on a regular basis, because that's exactly what you're going to create.
Ooh, I had to take that in. I'm sorry. I'm taking that in. Because that's relevant, past, present, and future.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. When the monkey brain, like the chatter starts happening in my mind, and I start like building these stories about like why this person didn't call back, or why haven't they accepted that contract yet, or whatever. And then I have to stop myself, and I'm like, hold up, you're making this up. Like you're literally allowing yourself to go down a rabbit hole that if you keep going down that rabbit hole, you're going to create it. So what's something more empowering you could think about? That they just need more time, or they haven't gotten the notification that you made the call, and they're going to call exactly right on time when it's perfect timing for you and them. So it's just kind of like I have to stop myself even now to say, don't go there. What is it that you want? Stay focused on that. Create a empowering story. And matter of fact, I just want to share this. I'm sure you guys have other questions. In I Declare, it's a book by Joel Osteen. He had this thing and he said, faith and fear require the same exact thing for you to believe in something that has not happened yet. So I'm like, if I have to believe in an outcome that hasn't happened yet, I might as well have faith about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why fear? And that was a powerful like realization for me. Like, go to the empowering story, go to the empowering meaning, because otherwise you'll get what you keep thinking about.
That's just so real, you know, and again, relevant past, present, and future, and you know, and not really realizing the magnification of our thoughts and feelings and how we're creating a reality based on them. And you know, and I love that you were honest, like you're saying, even now, even with all that you've done, you still have moments where you have to like bridle yourself back to that space of saying no, you know, and I think that's another book right there, like how to manage that, you know, how to get through that process and master yourself even at that next level. Yeah, I feel like life in some ways is kind of like a video game. It's like you'll go through one level and you'll have it. I got this, but then you go to the next level. There's just like, all right, now, you know. But I think it's a part of that whole.
Let me say one of the most valuable lessons I have learned, because I used to have this mentality that once you learn something and you like master it, then you ain't got to deal with that no more. Like it's done, it's over with. And it would constantly, like stuff would constantly keep coming back up. And I was like, dang, I thought I dealt with that. Like, dang, I thought I was over that. Like, you know, one of the circumstances that I've dealt with, and maybe there's many of you who have also had this experience in one shape or form, because I think we've all gone through traumatic things in our lives. Like I was molested as a, and that was such a, I'm gonna go ahead and use this word, like a mind fuck. Like it really was for me, because I didn't know, I didn't have the tools at the time to be able to understand, to cope, to deal with. And so it was a lot of like repressing, a lot of suppressing, a lot of self-hate, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and things that I carried, you know, throughout my adult life, you know, around that. And even when I started to do the self-work to start to address it and to start to learn self-love and to heal and to forgive and things like that. And I was like, okay, I've finally broken my silence. I've said it out loud. I'm done doing the healing work or whatever. Like I'm good. And then like something would happen, it would trigger me, and then it would be like, it would all flood back. And it's like, dang, I thought I dealt with this. Like I thought I was over this. Like, why is this showing up in this other area of my life? And there's a concept called spiral dynamics, where you go along and our life is constantly unfolding, and there's different levels to our lives, but we still do and can deal with the same stuff on each level of our life. However, we've gotten a tool or we've grown in some way, so it's not affecting us in exactly the same way anymore. It's just that at that time, you're now ready to deal with it at a deeper level. You're ready to explore it at a deeper level, and you're able to deal with the strings of how it's connected to other aspects of your life that you didn't even realize it was connected to. Like, I didn't realize that the reason why for some of the you who know me or know a little bit about my story, I used to collect Barbie dolls, and I collected over 300 mint condition, unopened, in the box Barbie dolls that I collected over like a 20-year period. it wasn't until I broke my silence and started to do my self-healing work around the molestation that I realized why I had even been collecting the dolls. I thought, okay, they're beautiful, they're all these different careers and outfits, and they're just like really cool, and they're collector's items, they'll be worth like tons of money in the future. It was something so much deeper than that, because what the dolls were an anchor for me to what I wanted in life, but I didn't see in myself at the time. They were beautiful. I saw myself as extremely ugly, challenged. Like, I saw every flaw. I didn't see the beauty. They had all of these like career and amazing accomplishments and opportunities. Even though I was accomplishing things, and you could have told me all day long, Havilah, you're successful, Havilah, you're accomplishing, I didn't feel it inside. But these dolls were accomplished and I admired them, but they were my anchor to that. And they were safe and pure and clean inside of a box. And so I had been living inside of a box for the majority of my life. And it wasn't until I was able to do that work and break my silence and start going down that path. Like, for the first time in my adult life, I actually opened one of the Barbie boxes. And like, that was huge for me because it was symbolic and metaphoric and real on so many levels of allowing myself out of the box that I had put myself in. So we continue to deal with things, but on different levels as we continue our healing journey. So it's not that it like ever ends, but our paradigm shifts, our thought process shifts, our connection, our story related to it shifts. And now I'm grateful for everything that has ever happened in my life because I love the person who I am today.
And you are so beautiful. And you are Miss Louisiana too. You are a Barbie on stage.
Oh my God, my own Barbie.
Right. She was on stage. Oh, yeah. So you came way out that box. Oh my gosh. Gosh, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like so many more questions, but I have one question in particular I want to kind of segue into while we still have time. And it is about, I want to talk about surrender a little bit, just for a moment, because surrender, about surrender, because I know there's some beautiful images in your book and by Zuri Scott. And, you know, one of the questions I wanted to ask was, you know, did the illustrator create these on her own or from reading your text? Because they are so in alignment beyond the words on your page. It takes you in such a deeper place. So I wanted to talk about those images, and then from your surrender and giving birth to this book, you know, I just want to talk about surrendering in the sense of what you went through and what you advise us as we surrender to the divine manifesto that call upon our life that we are called to, and answering that call. So just about surrendering, your process, and what advice you give to birth out the divine manifesto within each of us.
Absolutely. So I definitely have to give a huge shout out to Zuri Scott, who is the illustrator of the book. And again, it was like a divine connection that we came into meeting and knowing each other. And I had just been called upon to do a project for the launch of Conscious Good TV. And they had reached out to me about doing a voiceover for a poem that there was going to be a part of this like collective work. And something inside of me was just like, share with them that you also have written, you know, some poetry that could possibly be, you know, of value or, you know, of benefit to this project. And so, of course, the doubting mind came out and was like, no, that ain't what they reached out to you for. They reached out to use your voice, like just leave it at that. But it was just like, no, share this information with them. Whether they go with it, great. If they don't go with it, great. Like, let go of the attachment to that. Do what you're being called to do. And so I went ahead and I submitted it's called The Vision of Surrender, Death of the Ego, which is a vision that came to me that helped me to surrender for the process of going into the ayahuasca ceremony. And once the Betsy, who was the coordinator over this project, when she read it, she was like, this is exactly what we're looking for. Like, oh my goodness, like we want to be able to use this, and we want to get you to do the voiceover for it, and we're going to animate this. And in my mind, I have always had a vision of this being animated. So I was just like, confirmation, 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 have to stop holding back and allow people in to the deeper things that you have to share with them, because that's where your true work is. And so when they connected me with the animator who worked on actually doing the animation, and this ended up being for a project that was in collaboration with Reverend Michael Beckwith and Marianne Williamson and all these people who I like admired and follow their work. And I'm just like, when we get the message to do something, we need to follow it. Follow through on, even if you're scared, even if you're like, I don't want to be rejected, I don't want them to say no. Do what you are being called to do, and watch how the universe conspires for you and open doors. And so with the animator, after we finished that project and I had finally got on board with doing this book, because I fought this from the very beginning, because I was so afraid and so scared about what people would think, and to let people into this level of vulnerability in my life and my journey. I was just like, because I've written on many subjects, but I've not opened myself up, with this type of subject or a topic before. So it was just like, the world ain't ready, but it was really, I wasn't ready. and so when I reached out to the animator, and I was just like, well, do you know, do you do illustrations as well? Because I'd love to work with you. We work really well together. And he was like, I don't do illustrations, but I know someone who does. Let me make that connection. Again, when we say yes, things start to align. So he introduces me to Zuri. And when I had first seen her portfolio of work, I was like, she does really nice work, but this isn't really what I'm looking for. So I don't know if this is really the person. But again, that gut feeling was like, go forward, do this. And so we connected, we had a conversation, and in our conversation, I was like, ooh, I think she's the one. Like, we're connecting on such a deep spiritual level, because I knew the importance of this in someone who had to be like connected, like divinely, to be able to bring this to life in the way that it's been brought to life. And I shared with her the manifesto. And when I got back the first iterations of the illustrations, I was just like, she's the one. Like, so it was amazing being able to work with her, for her to literally be able to bring these words to life in visual images that bring the message off the page where you can connect with it on such a deeper level. It was just like, all the pieces to our puzzle are always being aligned. We just have to show up for our part. We just got to show up for our part.
Yes. And that is the surrender right there. Just showing up for your part. That's actually, because I got that just from you talking. I'm like, just show up for your part, and then you'll get the next direction, leading to the next direction. Well, which from that, I'll just say from that surrender, I'm going to say to Mother Ayahuasca and the messages that you got and beautiful words and images that you have here, which now I'm kind of like leading towards Shine, which was the ultimate, like the high point of this whole thing that you wrote about. And I feel like Shine is really a template that can guide us all into rewriting a new history. And so I just want you to talk about Shine, and then give us that go forth and rewrite a new history.
Yes.
I'm writing right now. This is already rewriting a new history. So let's talk about Shine and rewriting a new history.
Certainly, and then I'd love to be able to open it up to our audience members to ask any questions you may have. But trying this formula, it was just so interesting because we're always getting pieces of our puzzle, but sometimes the pieces don't seem to fit. They don't seem to okay, I just got this download, or I just got this information or this vision that came to me, but what am I supposed to do with this? Like where does this even go? And you just kind of like put it into your back file and it sits there. And so Shine, that formula, and we'll go more in depth into it, I feel like had been being put onto my heart for quite some time, but I was just kind of like, what is this for? Like, what is this? Am I supposed to do with this? And so when the book was coming together and the pieces of the book, because the manifesto came during the ayahuasca experience, and that vision, that experience, that visceral feeling, and the things that came out, that was all literally a stream of consciousness that just came out and was written. But it was like, you also need to be able to give people the backstory on how this came to be so they understand the journey. And you need to be able to provide people something to take with them so they can implement in their lives and actually do for themselves as they are continuing to meditate on and to align with that divine manifesto. And so that formula of Shine, it came like blaring back up into my remembrance. And it was, Shine is stop settling. How often we allow other people to dictate what we do with our lives because we buy into their dream of our lives, as opposed to doing what we feel called to do. And saying, okay, well, hey, well, if I'm a mother, then well, that's all that I can do is just be a mother, and then just make it. No, whatever dream you were given, whatever, which could be mother and entrepreneur, and it's not an or, it's an and. And so to stop settling or being in a relationship that's not healthy for you, that's not propelling you forward, being able to say, you know what, I love myself enough that I'm not going to settle for this anymore. And that what I really want is out there. Allow me to give myself permission to do what is best for me in this life, because this is my gift. So I think the stop settling shows up in all aspects of our lives, and we know where we're settling. We know where we have been playing small and not doing what we feel called to do. And so that becomes the first, and a lot of times the realization, the awareness of that comes from pain, because like, I'm not comfortable in this situation. Like, this is like, I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled, I'm not satisfied. And then you're settling. So it's to stop settling. And then the next piece is to heal internally, because it's an inside job. Like, it's not what somebody else is doing to you, it's what you're allowing. It's what you called in based on your belief system that you have about yourself. So, and there are many ways to go about healing. For me, I have used NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. I have used mental emotional release therapy. I've used hypnotherapy. I've used ayahuasca. I have used just various tools, community, like being able to get together with amazing mentors and friends who are on that same level and vibration of growth, and being able to just have conversations that allow me to like get the energy out and then like release it. So there are many ways to go about healing. It's about finding what you feel called to and go do it. No more excuse about, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, you know what, I'm not worthy. Yes, you are. You are a creator, so you can figure out a way to do what it is that you need to do for your own healing journey. And it's extremely important to step into that place. And then once you start on that healing journey, this is going to automatically happen. You'll ignite your passion. That thing, that dream, that desire, that goal is going to start like feeling like a fire inside of you. And it's like, okay, I gotta like do something about this. And a lot of times we look at like the full like journey and we're trying to figure out how. How is not our job. Our job is what it is we want. And then we will get inspired steps to take that all you have to do is do one step at a time, one thing at a time. If it's making that phone call or writing out that vision on paper, what is Habakkuk 2:2? It says, write the vision, make it plain so he who read it can run with it. You got to put it down on paper because that's actually the first form of manifestation is to go from out of your head and your thoughts onto a physical format of writing. So maybe that's even your first step is like to go into meditation, go into a serene place and allow yourself to dream and to feel and to get ignited and write down that vision onto paper, because then steps will start to come as to how to make that a reality. And then the next step is network with winners. You have to surround yourself with people who are on that same plane of thinking, that same path and trajectory of growth, who have the tools that are necessary for your journey. Because if you keep playing down in the crab bowl, then you're going to stay down in the crab bowl. So you have to continue. And even if it's scary, like, well, that's somebody who I admire. But like, even for me, like with Sharon Lecter, I found ways to add value first because like I posted about her materials, about her book. And I even joined one of her like online courses that she had. And it was just kind of like, I will connect with the people who I want to, like there's something about their life that is intriguing for me or that is inspiring for me, and I want to be a part of that network. So I will connect with you in some way, shape, or form, even if that's just reading your book. So networking with winners is so important. And then to empower others, because wherever you are in your journey, you've got something that could be helpful to somebody else. And so being open, being vulnerable, being willing to put that hand back and say, hey, here's the tools that I have been learning. I may not be exactly where I want to be, but I am further than I was yesterday. And so here's what I did between yesterday and today. Here you go. And for everyone who is on this call, like I would just encourage you to sit in a place of silence, to start to listen to your internal voice. And no matter how quiet that voice has gotten, no matter how much that voice is whispering to you, it's there. And that voice is connected to everything because we're all energy. Everything is energy. So we have access to all that has ever been, all that is, and all that will ever be. You are that powerful, but you have to stop and listen to that voice. And once you do, and you start taking the actions that that voice is giving you, the direction that that voice is giving you, no matter how small, that voice is going to get louder and louder and louder and become the guiding force in your life, because you do deserve to have everything that your mind can imagine. You can't imagine it without the possibility of creating it. So know that and start to listen.
Yes. Wow. I'm just like, that is just so awesome. And I took in every word you're saying. So I'm like, I don't even know what to say anymore. So thank you so much for that. Cause I mean, just reading it, it was like powerful, but hearing you just emphasize your voice to the words of shine, it's kind of like a no fail direct hand, like you're holding that by the word is out. It's like, no, this is really, this is it. It's a divine manifesto that transcends this time and space, and that will continue on after we transition from this time and space. And I pray it be so that you reach the 2 billion lives that you would like to reach with this work. And I love the simplicity and the images of it because it just takes you right in, and not this long going on and on like volumes and volumes, because the time is now. And I just feel like we were all like called to rewrite this new history. You didn't get this title, even if by just knowing you, you didn't have this book in your hand or on your Kindle by accident. And I feel like there's a directive that just, I feel like came just as a result of this, you know, you know, coming to us by, by way of you and spending this very intimate moment. And I just want to thank you so much for saying yes to doing this book discussion and for inviting us in, and just for sharing some very detailed things about your life and who you are, where you've been, and where you're going. And I can't wait for Surrender. uh I'm like, that is so amazing to me, like, wow. And what I got from you, and I hope everyone else got it, it's just like, just by surrendering to your process and to your sacred call in this life, you really can't go wrong, except if you just don't continue to stay on the path that we're all called to individually. So I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see any questions in the chat, but if anyone has any questions, now's the time. Then I want to do the raffle.
Yes, and then too, if you have a question, if you want to like raise your hand on the little thing, and we can unmute you, or you can even unmute yourself.
Unmute
Like
yourself, yeah.
Marilyn, you can unmute yourself.
I had asked before, where was the ceremony, what state or city? Because I was reading about it. I'm indigenous to Puerto Rico, and it feels like something I'm going to pray and meditate about and possibly want that experience.
Yes, absolutely. So the ceremony that I did, it happened in Oakland, California. And there are also, matter of fact, I think Sal is on our call this evening. He also puts on events there in Puerto Rico. So yes. And someone just asked, where can you get the books? The books are available on Amazon. So either the Rewriting a New History is available in ebook and in paperback right now. And then very shortly it'll be available in hardcover. And then the other two books as well will be are available on Amazon as well. How to Become a Publicity Magnet and the children's book. And then we're raffling off by the beautiful, amazing Delicia Lewis is going to be raffling off some of them tonight. So you may have an opportunity to actually get it very soon.
Get it sent directly to you via mail.
Exactly.
So does anyone else have any more questions they want to ask?
Whew, there's so much. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Certainly hit home and just splendidly stated everything. So she's a marvel. Yeah, a marvel.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here and lending your energy and lending your ear to that message.
I needed to be here. So.
Amen.
It's all right. So I just wanted to say that, it's like, I really like, because sometimes you think you're doing things and you go, well, why can't I get there? But basically what you said, you have to remain on the path, and it's all about how you're thinking, and that gets you there. It's all, it's inside, and having that faith that you can get there, and, just the value of really living out our purpose. I mean, knowing that we you know, we can continue to go on just knowing it's going to happen.
Yes. And life is going to bring us on all kind of different roads. And in all of it, I even feel like the challenges that we face or the things that we consider like, oh my God, this is like such a struggle or so bad, is really a shortcut to getting what you want. Because it's the person that you're becoming in that process of having, like when you're up against a wall, you have to start to use your imagination. You have to start to tap into other resources other than what we just kind of get into the routine of doing on a consistent basis. It makes us expand our mindset to new ways of being and new ways of doing. So what may have taken you 20 years to get there now may only take you 2 years because of that shortcut through a path of pain. However, we just have to stay our course and just be clear about what we want and be open, like have the flexibility that your experiences are also helping you to clarify what it is that you want. Because you may have a picture of this is what I want, and then you may get it or experience something similar to it and be like, well, you know what, maybe that's not exactly what I wanted. Maybe what I really wanted was this, and then it gives you an opportunity to make those shifts. But it's always about focusing on what is it that I'm looking to create? What do I feel called to? What feels good to me? What makes me feel energized and alive? That's what I should be doing. That's where I need to be focusing my time and my efforts. And how? Not my job. What is my job? And the how will continue to unfold as we take the inspired action.
Right. Yeah. And also I think it's too, like, we can't really compare ourselves or do what other people do. We have our own unique journey to go on because we're all unique.
Yes, I used to think I was so weird. I was just like, why? I would try to like align my path with other people's path. Like, well, if Oprah did it this way, then this is the way I should be doing. It's like, but you're not Oprah, you're Havilah, and this is the way that your path is unfolding. And when we realize we're not even just as unique, more unique than snowflakes, and there's no two snowflakes that are alike. So all of this icy greatness that falls from the sky, the little bitty snowflake, there are not two of them alike, and there are not two paths that are alike. We can use each other for inspiration. We can use each other for a guiding force, but our path will never mirror each other's. And so we have to trust that we are the light. Oh my goodness, thank you for bringing this up, because I actually want to read this passage from the book. It's actually one of my favorite, and it keeps coming up for me like every day. This is actually on page 61, and along with this illustration. Yes, so for those of you who have your books with you, please turn to page 61.
Mine is on.
And it says, we must trust our infinite reach into the dark, vast unknown. Trust that we are light, illuminating the way, creating and unveiling the roadmap. We are the force, the intention, the creators of our existence and connection with all. And I even love how it's illustrated that there's all of this path, this life that we live, but what's out in front of us? It is dark. There is no path, there is no roadmap for what's to come for us, because we are the light. We are the one who is creating the map and creating the roads ourselves by the things that we're putting out, that we're manifesting. And so often we look to other people to tell us, how should I be? What should I do? What should I look at? What should be important? That's our job, to be able to make that determination for ourselves. And even though I can't see what's the next step is going to be, I can hold on to the vision of what it is that I want, and then just take that leap of faith and keep moving forward on a daily basis. And that is our job.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I see Michelle, you raising your hand.
Yes, greetings, Havilah. This is beautiful. Greetings. It's great to be able to pop in here. And I thought I wasn't able to get in. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get in. Delicia is gonna be like, where were you? When she told me about the book, she actually sent it to me in my messenger. And she says, I think this might interest you. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, oh, I'm on it. I got it. I got
Yes,
it that
she was on
day.
it.
She sent the message. And then it arrived the following day. I did the next day. So I was really excited about that. What is most impressive is, which I really like, and I find that is a beautiful alignment, is I have had all of the different books, which I'm sure you have, that are novels long, and then you get lost in all the big stuff and the thickness of a book, and then wonder, okay, wait, where am I supposed to be at? What was the purpose? What am I supposed to learn?
Mhm.
And so I love the fact that it is really, I to say it's an easy read, I do not, I dare say that, because then it can be taken lightly. What I'm saying is that it's a read that is, that infiltrates our soul gracefully, because of the way that it is presented. So that at any place at a person's journey of being able to ascertain or comprehend this new level, or this different awareness of the spiritual development, the spiritual path, that they're able to integrate that in. And so I love the way that that it is presented in here, and I love the illustrator. I'm really big on illustrators, and so the coloring and your branding and what the message is so beautiful. Thank you for being here. And in addition, I like that you said that there are different roads to healing, that there's all these different connections to healing. And so you mentioned some of those. Which do you find, and this is the question, which did you find was more effective for you? Because we recognize that everybody might do really good with EFT, or another person might do really good with meditation. What did you find in your journey was most effective?
That's an amazing question. And each of these paths were perfect for me. So I can't say that one was better than the other. They were all exactly what I needed in the moment that I received them. And some people may be like, well, I just need like one method, and then, I just want one tool that's gonna like fix everything. And for me, it wasn't. It's been multiple tools over the different seasons of my life and stages of my life that have given me exactly what I needed for that season and stage. So they all have been perfect for me, of the ones that I have shared. Now, there are things that I've done or whatever that were not, as effective for me. And that's why I ain't share them in the book.
Yeah, they were very specific. I remember. Okay, I was going to say, Torin, your hand is raised. Did you have a question? Okay, maybe.
No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to give Havilah her props for just getting to this point and for just achieving such amazing things with this book. Like, just, you've brought so much light simply by sharing your experience. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just wanted to make sure I said that and just acknowledged how wonderful this journey has been to see it just from an idea to now an actual physical thing that you can buy on Amazon and, and share with the world and share with all of these women. So yeah, I thank you so much for this contribution and for this event. So yeah, it's been wonderful to witness.
So much. And thank you for being a part of the process. Actually, Torin was one of the early readers of the book as it was being developed. And as the beginning section of the book, that introduction, because I knew that it was really important to share the journey behind getting there. And that was the part that I didn't want to share.
Right. The honesty, the truth. Yeah.
You know, but it was just like, no, this is a part of the unfolding. Like I can go back and remember, and all of you, there's something that you have been called to, something that you specifically came into this existence, into this life to be able to do or to accomplish. And there's a gift that you came to give, and also a gift you came to receive. And so as I was in this process, and I knew, like, the day of the ceremony, when I woke up that morning and had this download that came and I put it to paper, I knew in that moment that that wasn't just for me, and that I was being tasked with sharing that. But I was just like, I ain't sharing this with nobody. Like, this is crazy. It's like, what? But I knew, like, in my heart of hearts and soul of soul, I knew that this was something that I was supposed to share. And it was a few years that have passed between me finally, with it continuing to pop me in the back of my head and pop me in the back of my head and saying, girl, now look, when you gonna put this down on paper and actually put this into a form, you can share this. And when I finally got to the place where it was like, the call was so strong, it would not leave me alone. And I was feeling like backed up, like my system was backed up, and it was like, I've got so much more for you to do in this world and so many other ways for you to help, but until you do what I have been calling you to do, you're not going to be able to do none of that until you do this first. And so it was just kind of like, you know what, it's time to let this out. And I was so afraid, I was so scared. I literally wrote a good friend of mine an email. It was at 10:30 at night on June 8th of 2020. And I was just like, this, you know, I had this divine download of this ayahuasca ceremony, and I know I need to share it, but I don't know what to do with it, and it won't leave me alone, but I'm scared about doing this. Like, I literally wrote this all out in email. And she responded like immediately. She read it and she was like, this is powerful. Let me help you. Let me, like, here's some things you can put them into Instagram posts. You could do this, you could do, like, she gave me all these ideas. You could create a card deck with, you know, the message on there. Like, she gave me all these things, and it was just like this confirmation of, okay, it is time, and I have to do this, because otherwise it's not going to release me and let me go. And there are people who will not get what they need for their journey if I don't share this. So how dare I not show up fully and give the gift that I have been given to those who were meant to receive that gift. And I gave myself a deadline, and it was to January 31st of 2021 that beginning, that introduction section had to be written. And it was January 31st, 2021, when that section got completed on that day. And just how it has unfolded. So just trust your journey. Trust your road of unfoldment. Sometimes it is not pretty. When I wrote that email that night, I was in tears because I was so fearful and so scared about what I was being called to do. But yet, look at all the beautiful souls who are on this call right now, who feel connected to this work, who are benefiting from this work. And you've got something just as, if not more important than this to be able to share. So do what you're being called to do.
Yeah, part of your share, this is Sukari. You talked about the trauma in your younger life. And you were telling my story. And when you collected the dolls. And that was another part of the story. And all the stages you went through to develop. I was like, okay. And you're much younger, but that trauma, I didn't really remember it until after I was 30. It happened to me at a young age. And my mother and her sisters and my grandmother, they were well trained in how to brainwash you. So they knocked that out of my mind. It didn't come back until I was 30-ish. But the dolls, we collected those dolls, and I took them out of the box because I had to look at them firsthand, because I always picked up something that had an energy like mine, something like Rapunzel, with long hair cascading so she could escape, the many miseries. And just the different Jack and Jill, I think, I got that copy of them. But, we were collecting different things, but I collected angels. I collected things that belonged to my story. And every now and then I'd have somebody glorious, but my main thing to do was to make them me and to keep them safe. But yeah, as a little girl, I decided I wanted to be a boss. And it took me all the way to 20 or so to figure out how to do that. And each level came a new change, and it always showed up. And a lot of times, like you said, I was like, are you kidding? I don't want to be in the office. I want to be out in the air. I want to dance. I want to, tell sisters how beautiful they are and show them how to groom themselves and have that long, luxurious hair, and still keep theirs. So I got to live a lot of the things, and then there's still more. So these gifts keep coming, and if I'm lucky, I won't take too many to the grave with me. But I appreciate your story. I really do, because it touches parts of mine. And I was thinking, oh, I know what she's talking about. But I didn't know what you were talking about. I knew what I understood. And reading yours, I got to understand more.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because we all have our story. We're all connected in some way. And even the fact that it's this group of people who have come together on this particular conversation, that was all by divine design. And so thank you so much for being open and being vulnerable and sharing, because we all get to heal through each other and the mirror that we get to become for each other. So thank you for that. And then too, I see that there are some other questions. And so Delicia, I want to know if you want to go ahead and do the drawing first, and then I'm open.
Yeah, let me do the drawings first.
Yeah, I'm open and willing to stay on with anybody who wants
Okay,
to.
I'm gonna do the drawing, and then I had everybody's name who RSVP, and then I narrowed it down to everybody's name now, because you have to be here. And so if I call you twice, that means I wrote your name twice, and I'm sorry. So just so you know, I've written names down, everything's in here, and I'm shaking it up. I'm not playing favorites. But I will after this is done. Well, the first winner oh my gosh, the first winner is Sukari. Sukari, you have won one of Havilah's books, which can be rewriting another copy of this rewriting a new history, a spiritual path to audacious authenticity and healing. Or you can get her other book, which is How to Become a Publicity Magnet in Any Market via TV, radio, or print. Or you can get her other book, which is Think and Grow Rich, a children's classic, The Amazing Adventure of Oliver Stone, based on the Napoleon Hill principle. So if you tell me which book you want, I'll contact you to get your address, and I'll make sure that you get it.
I'll accept the first one because I have it on Kindle, but I like the book. I like the way it looks.
Okay. Hey, that's okay. And I was going to say, and this will be an autographed copy that you'll receive, but you're going to have to wait because they've been sold out. So she's waiting for another shipment.
Right.
That's not a bad thing, but it just means
That's good.
Autographs coming to your house.
That's good.
Congratulations. Woo, listen, woo, woo. Hey. Look at she's in living color now with the copy of the book now versus the Kindle.
Okay. Yeah, I have it on Kindle.
Okay, so congratulations, and we'll get that to you as soon as possible. Okay, we got 2 more winners coming up. I'm not playing favorites. If I call your name again, that means that I wrote your name twice, so you're not getting another book. Okay, the next winner, wow, is Lotus. Lotus, are you here?
Thank you.
Oh, there she is. I can't hear you.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Hi, can you hear me now? Oh, yay!
Yeah. So,
Oh,
did you hear the titles of the books, or do you need me to read them again?
can you read the second one for me again?
How to become the second book is How to Become a Publicity Magnet in Any Market via TV, radio, and print. There she is. Look at she's showing you the book.
Mhm.
It's
I'm
a beautiful
seeing it.
cover. It's like, I want your picture. I'm like, I want that one. Or Think and Grow Rich. It's a children's classic. It's the amazing adventure of Oliver Stone based on the Napoleon
Oh, what choices? What choices? You know, I'm gonna get the book that we're talking about now because I have that one in Kindle too. But I'm the
Okay.
same way. I like to have the book in my hands.
No, it's when you see those images and fill those pages, you're gonna be
Yeah,
so
it's not the
yeah.
same. I was looking at them on Kindle. Like I opened it and it's, you know, like it's, I want to have the copy. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, well, congratulations on rewriting this history.
Yes.
Okay, and one more to go. Oh, Sal. Congratulations, Sal.
Oh, yay.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
honored. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. I have an autographed copy already. So I think I would like to get the Napoleon Hill book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nice.
Okay.
I have a lot of little ones in my life, and I would love to inspire them with your messages too. So
Wow, that's so
Right.
beautiful. That's so
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I will reach out to you guys because I have your email addresses, thanks to Eventbrite, and get your mailing address so that I can get this over to Havilah. So when she can get them over to you. Congratulations and thank you for your patience.
yay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone who has joined us this evening for this amazingly beautiful and deep conversation. And I do want to be mindful of your time. And so if anyone does have to leave, then we completely understand and appreciate you for joining us here, and look forward to seeing how you rewrite your history and what amazing things you continue to step into your life. And for those who would like to, if you still have any additional questions, I am willing, and as long as Delicia will allow the line to be open to answer any additional questions that you have. So I saw there was still a couple hands up, so I wanted to be able to address those before we signed off.
Arita, I see your hand is raised. Oh.
Okay, thank you for calling on me. Delicia is kind of familiar with the journey I've just been on. I was actually showing her and sending her pictures of the property that that I believed was my healing house. I've been on this journey since 1989 for the property. And I too am in the sacred club of the women of being molested as child. And so I was tasked with to get a healing house for women to come and do spiritual retreats. And I accepted the task and I'm on it.
Yeah.
And I've been here in Key West, Florida for 23 years. And since that never really manifested, I kind of put it in a box and left it alone until recently. Like it came out of the box, like you said, it'll just keep coming back. It'll just keep coming. And so there's a property up the road, about 30 minutes away. I've never looked in the Keys, in the Florida Keys. I always thought this was going to be in New York, so I just never looked here. But there it was, called the realtor, went and looked, was all excited. It was everything I wanted, except the place is so in need of repair. And I took a contractor friend up there with me. This is the second time now. And I'm up there with him. He's walking around. A deer comes out and starts to communicate with me. I'm in the car. The deer is looking at me. He's walking around the property, and I'm looking at the deer, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this deer could be anywhere right now. I could be anywhere right now. We're here together, me and the deer. And this is a moment. This is a divine encounter that if the divine could come and talk, it's here. And I really believe with everything in my heart, Havilah, that this was it. This was the place. And he came back to me and he told me this and that and this and that. And by the time he finished, and by the time the realtor had finished telling me all that was wrong with this place, all the repairs that it needed, how many thousands and thousands and thousands, and the properties on the market, they just dropped it from 1.5 to 1.2. And so it would be another one to fix it to the level it really needs to be. It's been devastating. This piece has been devastating to get so close to it, to actually walk it, be in it, look at the water flowing, knowing that this is what I wrote about in 1994. I actually wrote the brochure, and it had everything that was written. It had everything except it's. And so the part of me that says, yes, you're close, keep going. There's the other part that said, well, you know what? That was just, the universe just tricked you. That was just a joke. You're a joke. Don't even believe in this no more. Yeah, okay. So it was it and it wasn't it. So I, as much as I want to put it back in the box, I can't. I'm so close. And every time now that I go up the road and past that property, I'm always looking over there at it, and I'm like, yes. And I keep riding, and then I come back and I'm looking at it again. So I continue to say yes, but I do feel tricked. I do feel duped. I do feel something was wrong with I don't know. But like you said, I think you kind of answered it when you said you just keep adjusting it. It's like the TV. All right, so you were on not the wrong channel, just a glitch in the programming. I don't know, but you kind of answered it. But anyway, I don't even have a question. You answered it.
No, first of all, thank you for sharing that illustration, that experience that you're having, because I think that can definitely touch a lot of people in a lot of different ways of the experiences that they are having. And I've had that experience on several occasions. And so let me offer you another perspective or another way of being able to look at that situation. So there's a book called Your Word is Your Wand by Florence Scovel Shinn. And in this book, she offered this illustration because this was like a light bulb moment for me. Because there have been many times in my life that there are things that I'm like, I am very clear about, I want this specific thing. And then I get things that are like close to it, like around the corner from it, that are like it, but not exactly it. And I'm just like, what the heck? And in this light bulb moment, she gave this illustration and she was like, you know, when Noah and his family, and they're on the boat and they're going through, it's flooded, they're continuing day after day, and they're like, when is this going to end? Like, when are we going to actually touch down on land again? And he sends out the dove, and the dove comes back, nothing. He sends out the dove again, the dove comes back, nothing. Then he finally sends the dove out again, and the dove comes back with an olive branch. And it's like, What was that olive branch? It was a sign of land. They weren't there yet, but it was a sign of what was to come. So she gave this illustration about this lady who she wanted a whole new set of china. And so she kept envisioning this china and seeing the pattern and like seeing herself having these amazing dinners, you know, with this china. And she gets this gift and it's of one china plate. And she's like, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? Like, this ain't the set of china that I saw for myself, that I wanted for myself. And she was like, that's just your sign of land. This is the universe giving you a confirmation that what you are asking for is coming, but you got to hold on. You have to keep moving forward and you will get all that you are asking for and then some. I had, from high school, I used to be a part of this junior league program, and we got to try real cases in court. So all of our defendants were actually already proven guilty of their crimes, but we got to argue sentencing before the judge. And so my first career path option that I wanted to do, I wanted to become a lawyer. And so, because I loved arguing these cases and debating and proving a point and you know, being able to present a case, like I loved doing that. So I was like, I'm gonna go become a lawyer. But I also had this very strong desire, like for things within the entertainment industry. And I would be in my mirror with my brush, you know, doing my like little reports and stuff like that. So it's like, I wanted that too. And so I finally, when it was time for me to decide before I went off to college and decide upon my major, I was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? And I was like, well, I can go to law school and become a lawyer, or I could just play a lawyer on TV. Best of both worlds.
I love it.
And so my career path has gone down so many different, I've played police officers on TV, I've played, you know, reporters on TV, I've played so many things, but I had never played a lawyer on TV, which was my high school dream, my high school goal that I decided not to go to law school for, but yet my career went to so many, I went to corporate America, I went to television, I went into all this other stuff. And so when I finally made the decision to move out to Los Angeles, because that childhood dream came like peering back up and was like, hold up, remember us? Remember what you said that you were going to do and the road that we took to go about doing this? It's time for you to now step into this path and step into this dream that you had for yourself. And so I made the decision, I moved out to California to more fully pursue my television career and to get that series regular role as a kick-ass lawyer on an extremely successful television show. And so I'm auditioning for stuff, I'm doing like tons of national commercials, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, well, where is my lawyer role? Like, hold up, like this is what we supposed to do, is be a lawyer. Like, you haven't secured that yet, what's going on? And I was on a veil. So I don't know if you're familiar with the entertainment process. You have an audition, you get a call back, then they like put you on hold if they're interested and they want to book you. And then the next step is the booking. So I got put on a veil for this national commercial, and my hair had started to grow out, because usually, for those of you who see other images of me, my hair is usually like short to nothing. Like, I keep it like super short. And my hair was growing out, but I couldn't change it because I needed to maintain the same look for that commercial. And I kept asking my agent, like, are they moving forward? Are they booking me? Like, what's going on? Like, where are we at with this? And he finally was like, I think they're probably gonna let you go, but I don't know that. I was like, look, either let me go so I can cut my hair, or we moving forward and doing this, whatever, it's fine. Like, I just need to know what we're doing. And so it comes to the day of like the fitting day, and apparently they just had me as the backup because they were just waiting to make sure that the other talent passed their COVID test, because then they would have brought me in. But they didn't end up bringing me in. So he was like, they released you, you know, you're good. So I'm like, okay, great. I go in the bathroom and I shave my head bald. I am literally in the bathroom shaving my head. And I get a text message from my then manager, And she was like, you have an audition request. And I was like, shit. And so I look at the audition request. You know what the audition request was for? For a bald-headed lawyer for an extremely successful television series on television. And so I knew in that moment, I was like, this is mine. I mean, I'm in the bathroom right now, shaving my head bald. I mean, come on, like, this is mine. And so I reached out to my agent. I was like, thank you so much or whatever. I'm gonna get on this audition. I'm gonna finish shaving my head, and then I'll go through the breakdown. I'll get you the tape over or whatever. This is my sign. Like, this is it. Like, and so I filmed the audition. And I was like, I know I killed that thing. I was like, ooh, this right here. I send it off to my agent. He loves it. He was like, he submits it off to them. And then they tell you the date for the callback. They tell you the date for when it actually shoots. So you have a time frame. And it was getting closer and closer. And I had no callback. It was getting closer to the shoot. We had no word. And I reached out to my agent. I was like, I mean, bald head lawyer, like this is me. What's going on here? And he was just like, it's getting closer and closer. He's like, I'm not sure. I thought it was a shoe-in, but I'm not sure. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? But I held the vision. I kept holding the vision, like, because this is what it is that I came here for, and this is what I'm going to do. It goes past the date of the shoot. And I was just like, well, damn. You know what? It's all good, because if it's not this one, then it's another one. And maybe this was just my sign of land. This is the universe confirming to me that what it is that you want and what you came out here for, you will have it. And I'm just putting these things in your path to be able to continue to confirm for you it's coming. So don't give up.
Yes.
The next day, I get a call, and what they had done is move the date of the shoot. I booked the role. I got to play the lawyer. It'll be coming out on season 5 of HBO's Insecure. I play Patrice, a lawyer on the show.
Love it.
It's still, because that's a co-star role. So that's still not my series regular role, but guess what? That's coming too. And I will never give up on that, because I know it's mine. So don't give up.
You gave me chills on that.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm buzzing off of that. I was gonna say, that's all I have to say. In other words, Rita, she's saying, do not give up. That's it. And then if you tell me about it, I'm gonna tell you the same thing. What did Havilah say? She said, do not give up. So I just want to say that. But lastly, I see that Lotus has been sitting patiently, and her hand was raised, and I want to answer her question. This is so Lotus, please.
Hi. Thank you. Hello. I just want to know, how is it that you dealt with coming out with the truth, especially about perhaps you're being sexually molested, right? Because that can be very disturbing to not just your career, but your entire life, people around you, people that know you. And so I find it okay, it's great to say, go ahead, tell your story. But when your story and it involves people, and involves situations, and it involves an entire, somewhat I would say, it involves your entire family, right? Because that's what childhood trauma is. It involves everyone that was involved in it, everyone who chose to hide it, everyone who chose to be silent, everyone who chose to silence you. And so how is it that, and I know it's a courageous thing, right? You just sort of have to step into it and say, okay, but how did you eventually decide that that was the thing that you were going to do, regardless of what would come out of it? Because I understand, there's different traumas, and I would say, if I would compare mine to somebody else's, it's pretty dark, and in mine, I've just actually just learned how much of it there was. I didn't realize it. And eventually, in this past year, as I did some internal work, a lot of it came out. And I knew I knew certain parts of it. I just didn't know the depths of it. And now that I do, for me to sit down and tell that story, it would probably, destroy not just my daughter, because she somewhat understands that I've been through some emotional stuff. She doesn't understand the depths of it. So it would affect her. It would affect her surroundings. It would affect my entire family. And so how do you go about making that choice when you know that, yeah, sure, millions of people are going to get something out of your story, but at the same time, I don't want to say ruining, but you're pretty much bringing down the the root of the problem, and you're grabbing it by the neck, and the people you're grabbing by the neck is pretty much your own family. So how did you go about that?
Absolutely. And thank you for that question. I think that's a really important one to delve into. And I'll also give you another perspective to be able to contemplate that our healing also helps to heal others. So for me, and I used to, so for over 20-year period, I suffered in silence. I had made an edict for myself that I would take what happened to me to the grave, because I was so concerned and so fearful about how it would affect my family. Because for me, my abuser was my brother. So it was very deeply rooted in my family, and no one knew about it. And I had this belief, this concept that my family would not, first of all, they wouldn't believe me. They would shun me and how this would ruin everybody's life. So I was just like, I'll just eat this. I'll just deal with this. I'm strong enough, and I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to upset the tables of how our family structure is, because this would ruin us. This would ruin our name. It would ruin, my career. I had all of these beliefs about the situation. And so why for so long, I never reached out for help, never shared it with anyone, and just gave myself an edict that I would take this to my grave, because I was not going to be the one who would ruin or hurt my family. And what I came to find out, and my first step towards my healing process was the UPW, the Unleash Your Power Within event that I went to, the Tony Robbins event. And then I ended up joining his Platinum Partnership program, where we travel around the world with Tony and have we have coaches, and we go and do specific events for just the Plats. And so the next event that I went to, which this is open to everyone though, is called the name of the event just left my mind, but it'll come back to me. But the next event that I went to, it went Date with Destiny. It went super deep into our healing journey, and we got into these small groups, and we created this level of comfort with each other, and we were implementing tools, because a lot of what Tony uses in his process is NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, which helps you to go in and rewire your neural pathways and rewire the root cause of pain that you have dealt with in your life. And so as we were incorporating these tools and using them for ourselves, it was breaking open these caverns and allowing us to become more vulnerable and share. So in this small group, I broke my silence and shared about the abuse. I still was like, I would never tell anybody who it was, because I'm just like, that was too close to the belt. That was too deep for me to go into, even at that period of time. But I was starting to deal with, I was allowing it to come to the surface, and allowing like bits and pieces of it to come out, and for me to be able to heal. So we start to deal with things in the way, time period that we're able to. Like our mind, and like what it did with the Barbies, and what it did with like suppressing some of the memories. Our mind is built to protect us. Our unconscious mind is like literally there, like it's like a shield. And even why for a long period of my life I was overweight. And what I realized was I had put on layers, I had put on a shield to protect myself and keep people at a distance in the world, because this was a way for me to protect me, and for you not to see who I was, or who I thought I was, which was like this horrible, dirty, unclean, like person. So as I started implementing these tools, I was able to start like kind of pulling some of those layers back and allowing a little bit to come out, a little bit to come out. And so it was years of practicing these things, years of continuing to implement them. And I remember one day I was sitting on the bed with one of my best friends, Kiali, and it was sitting on my chest like a rock almost. And I kept getting this intuitive knowing, like I have to say it. I have to like fully tell this, and even who it was. And my fear about like breaking apart my family and being like the one who ruined us was so strong, but also this like feeling of stuckness, and this feeling of like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know how the heck I'm going to do this. But if I don't, I will literally die. Like if I don't, is how strong that feeling was within me. And I remember sitting on the bed, and I think that's why it's so important that we have supportive people, like-minded, growth-minded people around us who are doing their own self-work, because then they are able to create the space for us to be able to open up more fully. So I sat on that bed, and I knew it was just like, I need to say this name. I need to share who it was that I had this experience with. And I felt like I was sitting there for hours. I know it wasn't that long, but it felt like it was hours. And she just held the space. She just like sat there, supportively, quietly, just awaiting for me to be able to get to that place. And it felt like a frog or a stone like coming up out of my throat as like I finally said my brother's name out loud. And in that moment that I literally uttered those words, it was almost like the energy that it was taking for me to hold that in was energy that I could not use towards fulfilling my purpose, to being my full self, to being the powerful being that I am, because I was using so much energy suppressing all of that. And it was maybe a year, because it was in 2014 when I even broke my silence to my family and had the conversation with them and addressed it. And what I thought, like what I feared my entire life, that I was going to be the one to ruin us all, and that everybody would hate me, and that no one would believe me, and that people would look down on me. The complete opposite is what happened. My mother rallied to my my mother showed so much love and rallied to my side in a way that I never thought was possible, because even growing up as children, I used to always think my mom loved my brother more than me. So I was like, he could do no wrong in her eyes, in my mental story that I created. So I was like, of all people, she'll definitely side with him no matter what. And it was the complete opposite. She was like, how do you want to handle this? What are we gonna do? Like, do you want me to address this, or are you gonna like address it with him? You know, like it was a complete, like all these stories I had built up in my mind for my entire life. And it was like, I could have been freed of this. I could have been let this go. And quite frankly, what happened and the healing that has happened for me has opened a way for other members in my family to deal with trauma that has happened in their life that they had never dealt with, that they had never brought to the fore. But it was like my being willing to be open and vulnerable and do the scary thing opened this pathway for a huge healing for my entire family, from cousins to like my own like sister, like my dad. Like so much has happened and unfolded, and the path was not always easy. It was not easy conversations. Like a lot of drama ensued, a lot of things went south, but it has all come back around to us being able to heal. And so when we heal, we are able to heal for generations. So I encourage you to go down your healing journey and do what you are feeling called to do, no matter who you think it's going to affect, because it may help them more than it would ever hurt them.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. That meant a lot.
My absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Delicia. You're such a beautiful person for having this opening.
I thank you for being here. I thank Havilah for saying yes, you know, because I just wanted the people that I knew that we were connected, and to have an opportunity to speak with her directly about what she's accomplished in this life. And you see that it's so much far greater than the words in her books. Her journey is our journey, because we've all gone through some type of trauma. We're trying to manifest and give birth to something great, you know. And one thing I want to say before we close, and this was so critical, one of the things you said, the stories that we create in our mind. And just like even dealing with other people, they're blocking us, or all these things that just really hinder the process, and really start to listen to your own voice. So I really want to thank you for that, because I have allowed myself to fall victim to me victimizing myself in that mind frame. And the fact that despite everything that you've gone through, you still transcended, and you still showed up, and it gets bigger and it gets better and it's more beautiful. And then all of us who are here, it's touched all of us in such a way that I can never be the same after today, honestly, never. And so I just say I'm humbly thank you, and everybody that came and that was here, and everyone that's still here now. And this is a moment to really rewrite our own histories on a collective level. So it's not you reading the book, yeah, I'm going to rewrite my own history. It's like, no, you're in this vibration, in this frequency. And I guarantee if you just move in that direction, that I know that we all will begin to continue on a much higher trajectory for our life. There's no way, not with this energy and this container in this moment. So Howard, I thank you, and continue blessings to you. And you, I declare and decree and agree that it shall be that you reach over 2 billion people's lives with your work, all of it. And it started here. It's here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Everybody, whether I know you or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace and blessings. And I'll get your books to you.
Yeah.
Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sal from Puerto Rico. Thank you.
Thank you for including me.
So
This is so
amazing.
beautiful.
Nancy from up north.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Kari in Maryland.
Okay.
Thank you,
Love you,
Ray.
Delicia.
Love you. Karen.
Thank you, Havilah.
Thank you,
Kari,
Dr.
Love you
Liz,
Havilah.
all. Love you,
Love
Delicia.
Al,
Love you,
Love
Havilah.
you.
Love you, Ray.
Arita.
Love you, everyone.
Hi, Havilah.
Bye. Thank
Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah.